probably are the years of AI accountability. And that is what has been the theme across most of the sessions which I've seen in this summit. And we are integrating these thinking machines into the fabric of our daily lives today, whether it is from the infrastructure to our personal identity. One fundamental question arises: how do we innovate at the speed of the thought without compromising the safety of our soul? The safe and trusted AI dialogue is not just a technical discussion, it is a social contract of the 21st century. We are not just building software, we are building the digital foundation of trust for 1.4 billion Indians and by extension the global community. To guide our discussion today, I want to frame the discussion around three critical tensions or dilemmas: innovation versus regulation. Can governance be a trust accelerator rather than a bureaucratic brake? Sovereignty versus interoperability. How do we honor cultural sutras while ensuring global digital trade remains secular? Claimed versus verified. How do we move from trust me, it is safe, to here is the proof that it is secure? Today, as you can see, we are joined by a panel that represents the entire life cycle of this challenge, from the architect of EU AI Act and the India AI Mission, to the leader who scaled these technologies across the world's largest enterprises and creative frontiers. It is my distinct honor to introduce our panelists. Mr. DG Roberto Viola has not been able to join us so far, but it is my privilege to introduce a very distinguished senior colleague from my previous life, Mr. Alkesh Kumar Sharma, IAS retired. Sir is the former Secretary MeitY. I think he needs no further introduction. I think all of us know about what all he has done, but I leave it to a later minute for this. Mr. Gurnani is supposed to join very soon. He's on his way, stuck in traffic jam, and I can take part of that responsibility, being former on behalf of my colleagues in Delhi Police. I was part of Delhi Police for 32 years, so you can blame it on me also. Mr. Ajit Kumar, CIO of HCL Technology. Dr. Monisha, Regional Consulting Leader, Southeast Asia for Mandiant Consulting, based out of Singapore. And Mr. Abhinav Verma, Kalidiniti, is that right way to say? CEO of Icon Studios. And I heard what wonderful work he's doing. And before we move forward, I'll request him to tell us what he's doing. Oh.
Out of sight, out of mind.
You are the icing on the cake.
Sometimes our subconscious is at work. I work for Google, she works for Microsoft. So please excuse me, it was not on the competitive spirit. Ms. Charu Srinivasan is GVP at Microsoft. But before going forward, I'll request all the panelists to kindly introduce yourself more in terms of how do they look at this topic today from the prism of their experience. And I'll start with Mr. Abhinav. I think to me it appears one of the most interesting things which you are doing today. So why don't you start, Abhinav?
Hello. Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction, kind introduction. And it's a complete honor to be present among such luminaries today and have a chance to speak on this topic. So before I go into the topic itself, I want to give a quick intro of what I do, because it's not very traditional. But we basically work at the intersection of culture and technology. So we license the IP rights, AI IP rights of some of the culture's biggest icons in the country, where we essentially, and one of the biggest icon that we worked with is Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. So we've licensed his exclusive AI rights. We're the only person or entity in the world that can use his likeness for creating his digital avatar. It's not about just creating his digital avatar, but we own his rights exclusively and perpetually. So we are the custodians of his legacy for the next 100 years. We are the only entity that can create his likeness, his voice, his visual, etc. So with that comes a lot of heft and weight, right? Like with such a big legacy and a name, to create a structure and an AI platform that basically has provenance, and it has clear controls on what we generate, how we generate, etc.
And that indicates the trust of Mr. Amitabh Bachchan in you and your company, and most importantly in the technology.
Yes, and he's been very kind and gracious with his time, and he's given us a lot of time, because this was not it was not 2025, this was 2022. Right when ChatGPT was just coming out and text generation was only available, but we were the pioneers to create a digital avatar that looked like him, feel like him, talk like him, etc. So he's very generous and gracious with his time with us.
Thank you, Abhinav.
Thank you.
I'll now request Mr. Ajit Kumar to introduce himself and talk briefly about the topic from
Sure.
your experience.
Good evening, everyone, and first of all, thank you very much for including me as a part of this august panel to talk about an extremely important topic. My background is I've been in technology for the last 25 years, 25 plus years, for Accenture initially and then with HCL Technologies, both on the market-facing side, which means selling our services to customers, as well as now, more importantly, in terms of how do you leverage this technology to various technologies, including AI, in order to drive differentiated performance within the company. So HCL as a corporate entity. I think it's quite paradoxical that I'm speaking to you at a time when the very existence of companies like HCL are being questioned in the context of what AI can do and could do in the future. So for us, AI is in some senses an existential threat. So we obviously have got to find out ways and means of transforming ourselves to help ourselves and help our customers leverage this technology. But coming more importantly to this topic, I think Mr. Madan rightfully mentioned that gone are the days of POCs and and concepts. Now it's all about basically rolling out use cases and capabilities at scale. And what this technology does is basically, when leveraged to its full capability, is to be able to take probabilistic outcomes and being able to generate subsequent actions. And the word probabilistic outcomes means that there has got to be a tremendous level of trust and responsibility, because if you don't have enough information to make a subsequent decision, then as a trusted advisor, it is important that the tool is able to recognize its limitation and be able to articulate that outcome appropriately. So as we look at rolling out this technology, the whole aspect of how do you ensure that there is trust and there is responsible use of the outcomes of this probabilistic model would become more and more critical. Now these, as you can see, both at at Bharat Mandap as well as probably in other locations, there is enormous amount of effort, time and money going into building solutions. And it is very important for all stakeholders to define standards so that basically the whole of what we expect in terms of responsible use, what we expect in terms of security, what we expect in terms of privacy are clearly defined, measurable, and can be then verified. So I think this is a very apt topic in the context of AI scaling out, and I think there is an immense responsibility to various stakeholders to enable this journey in a smooth and frictionless manner.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Let me make amends for my earlier mistake. I'll request Charu, Mr. Nivasan, if you could introduce the topic from your experience.
Assuming this is not the question you're going to ask me, right?
It is just an introduction. We are
Then
just
I'll
starting.
be brief. Okay, I'll try and be brief. So, hi everyone. I'm Charu Srinivasan. Let me introduce myself, given Dr. Madan failed to the previous. I'm just kidding. But I build Azure. This is my day job. I'm an engineer by profession. So my role at Microsoft is to build the cloud infrastructure that enables AI workloads to run on top with safety, privacy, and security. Right? That's really how I think of my day job. And this topic is of significant interest to us, not just as Microsoft, but as technology players that given, I think every large foundational change in humanity has reshaped lives, whether it was steam engine, whether it's electricity, which reshaped kind of our day-to-day lives. I think AI is going to impact every possible sector we can think of. And every such change needs to roll out with, I think, the human beings who are going to be impacted by that change completely involved, and we're hoping this conversation kind of allows us to move the dial forward in terms of thinking. So I'm such an honor to be part of such a distinguished panel. More specifically, the work I do on a day-to-day basis, we build something called confidential compute, where we really think that at the core of all this privacy risk, which I think everyone cares deeply about, you need to build technology that no human can subvert, right? So you want to kind of build a zero trust kind of security model where you don't even trust the cloud operator, whether that's Microsoft or Google, right? And make sure that at the end of the day, you can run your AI workloads with this guarantee, and almost like a techno-legal guarantee that there is no privacy risk, there is no data exfiltration, that AI models are not training on your data, that you can inference in a way that preserves confidentiality. I'll give you a couple of examples, hopefully when I get asked my question, but then I just thought I'll share that this topic is of deep interest to us, and I think we're working not just, it's not just a technology problem, I think it's the intersection of the policy intent, the technology kind of backbone, and of course the ecosystem. And we think when these three come together, then magic unfolds. And I think this technology, more than anything else before, needs these three things to kind of come together. With that, I'm going to hand off to...
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Srinivasan. I'll request the second lady in the group, Dr. Monisha, if you could introduce the topic from your experience.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Roy. I come from Mandiant. I'm the Southeast Asia consulting leader. And as far as Mandiant is concerned, our mission is to make sure that every organization is secure from cyber threats, and we ensure that they are ready for it. We were recently acquired about 2-3 years back by Google Cloud, so now we are part of the Google Cloud, family. And with that, our aim is now to make sure that the frontline intelligence and the enterprise scale technology are actually working together. Mandiant is basically, I'm sure most of you here are aware, but I'll just reiterate. Our identity is basically built on the work that we do as first responders for the most sophisticated breaches across the world. So our mission is not just to provide, the consulting, but it is also to make sure that what we learn from the trenches across the world, as we are solving and helping clients in their breaches, we bring it to every client that we work on. So I think today's topic is very interesting, and I'm so honored. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be a part of such an august, team here, panel here. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Monisha. And I've deliberately kept the best for the last. I'll request my senior in the service and a man who has been responsible for a lot of things which we are discussing, not only in this panel, but across so many panels in this summit, as one of the main architects of so many things which are happening. Sir, would you like to give your thoughts on briefly your thoughts on the topic and the importance of it?
Thank you. I think let me at the outset congratulate GCTC and of course the eminent panelists. They have made me a part of this because see, we are the government, so when you find the people sitting on all my sides, they try to unleash AI, and we try to see that how we should control it. Because, and that is what India has done. When we started working on the digital public infrastructure, the trust, safety, trust, accountability, and resilience, these have been the foundation foundational principles on which we started DPI. And I think that continues because you can't lose out on that. And we found that when we talk about safety and trust or secure and trust, these are not abstract ideals. We made it functional necessities in whatever we did. So when we started DPI, we said, yes, while we want it to be open source, interoperable, expandable, customizable, but we always ensure that these 4 components should be part of the foundational principles. And the same thing we followed in AI policy, AI systems. So when we look at trust and safety, I think when AI has become, and I will be candid that when we started 21, when I joined the ministry, we had a semiconductor mission, AI was still in the beginning, we had a small AI, India AI small commitment, and then we started as a national program. And when we were talking about national program in 2022 end, that is when at the highest level we were told that this is too small a cabinet note, the amount which we proposed, and the Prime Minister said it's too small an amount, why don't you go into billions? And that is how the AI mission was conceived and had a fairly big amount. So when we look at these things, they have always been part of, and you can't leave, and in today's world when AI has become all pervasive, I mean, there is no sector, even in India, because we have already come out with India's tech on DPI. And all these things need AI. You look at India's, and the impact which this AI can create today, it can be humongous. You know, you look at the impact in terms of adverse impact. I mean, one small bad innovation can really create havoc. You look at the scale at which AI is being done. We look at the sovereign AI. I mean, that's something which countries are talking about. While we probably have to do something about that, but we still have to make it interoperable and the resilience should be an integral part. So these were some of the things which we had. So when this GCTC suggested that they have one of the sessions on this, so I thought I must say yes, because it is not only that I will be able to share my experience of how we moved from the basic digital infrastructure to DPIs and then on to AI mission, but it will be great to learn from my colleagues in this panel that what is more that needs to be done and how government should become little more proactive. And at the same time, see how do we calibrate the AI rollout to ensure that it is still safe, trusted, accountable, and resilient. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Mr. Kumar, for a global CIO, the shared future depends on responsible deployment. What is one foundational shift you are seeing in how large enterprises manage accountability, especially in security-sensitive domains like public infrastructure?
Yeah, so I would answer this question from the perspective of both our customers as well as internally within HCL. Today, as I mentioned earlier, the corporations are moving from proof of concepts into large-scale deployment of AI-based solutions to solve their most pressing and critical problems. I think to answer your question as to what is the significant shift we are seeing, I think the significant shift we are seeing is everybody recognizes that while speed is of essence to be able to identify and be able to conceptualize solutions and deploy solutions for our most pressing business problems, there is a clear understanding that this technology, if not used properly, can cause a lot of unintended consequences. So what are corporations doing in order to ensure that you don't fall into the trap? I think there are a couple of things. The first is they are beginning to define standards as to what do they expect from their models from various dimensions of security, privacy, and responsible use. The second thing we're seeing companies beginning to employ or deploy is processes which will manage the life cycle of building solutions where these principles of responsible use, privacy, security, etc. are enforced. So it doesn't become an afterthought that you have built the model, then we will start thinking about these things. The idea is that the moment you start thinking about an idea, these aspects become an integral part of the journey. So it's no longer an afterthought. The third is, I think, creating specific structures within the organization whose responsibility is to ensure that these tenets are applied in a very deliberate manner, to the extent that solutions cannot be deployed into production environments unless it passes the test from a responsible, secure, and confidentiality perspectives. So that's the third dimension of the change we are seeing. And finally is the emergence of technology to enforce these tenets. So this is no longer somebody just defining standards and then administering a checklist at various stages in the life cycle of building a generative AI-based use case. It is about embedding these tenets into the underlying technology, so when you build a solution, these things become automatically a part of that solution. This is much like in the good old way of software development, embedding technology so that security, so that coding practices, etc., are deployed at the time of building the solution. So the answer is that responsible use of these technologies is no longer an afterthought. It is a very deliberate process in most companies where there is a strategy, there is processes, there is technology, and there is an organization to enforce these tenets.
Thank you. Thank you. You wanted to say more?
No, that's it.
Embedding the idea of responsible, safe, and secure AI across the life cycle, right from the ideation stage. Thank you, Mr. Kumar, for bringing out this idea. Abhinav, you are at the frontier of AI, creating digital personas. How do we ensure that democratic values and cultural sensitivities? I'm deliberately asking this in context of cultural sensitivities because there's a lot of noise around this debate that it has to be tailored to the local sensitivities, local cultural nuances, and even language, dialects, etc. So how do you ensure that democratic values and cultural sensitivities are encoded into these systems to prevent the erosion of truth and personal identity?
Thank you for the question. Just to add a little bit about digital personas, we feel that digital personas of your own self are an extension of human rights itself. But today's world of technology, I think it's very easy to create something. So I believe that systems and guardrails have to be placed at the point of creation, as he was mentioning, where every single digital file, if it can have a provenance of where it was created, if it is authentic, it doesn't exist today. We've not been able to do it in social media. So what I am suggesting or what I'm alluding to is not something that can be built like in one day. But I think having provenance of every single digital file or a digital persona that's being created, and when it was created, how it was created, and how the interactions happened, I think that will solve a lot of the issues surrounding, right now there's a big debate on deep fakes, right? I always joke and say that we are like a deep original company, right? We actually go out and license these rights to create content or AI-based experiences based on controls that we place with the celebrities or with the iconic personalities that we have. Every single piece of content that is generated for the experience that we're creating it is actually vetted by the personality and actually approved by the personality. So if there's a digital system that can be built for all types of content where provenance can be established, I think that will actually solve a lot of the issues surrounding digital personas today, because it's become very easy. 2022, it was not that easy, but today anyone and everyone can create it, and it's actually very tough to find who created this piece of content or technology. And coming to the part of how we are encoding these cultural values into the systems itself, and I believe that a lot of sovereign AI systems are being built right now. I'm like very excited about how and when we can use these technologies into our stack. So we're really looking for like multilingual systems that can actually understand, because one of our earliest deployments have been in banks. So our systems, we just don't create content and place them on social media. Our content, like Mr. Bachchan, you can walk into, I don't want to name the bank, but you can walk into the bank and you're able to talk to Mr. Bachchan and automate services, right? So you're walking into an institution that is highly trusted. So any type of people can walk into a bank, right? Like it could be people who don't speak English, who could speak like very regional languages. So we had to have systems that are in place that understand regional context, not only language, but also regional context of where they're from. So we specifically designed a system. We didn't keep it very open-ended. As of today, we've kept the system very, I would say in this case, very limited, because we are actually waiting for sovereign models to develop enough so that we can actually open it up. I would say that we've developed 15 services automations where like you can get a checkbook, you can get a bank statement, you can get a lot of services done by talking to these personalities or AIs that we created inside these banking branches. So I think we're waiting for sovereign models to actually come and see how we can embed them into our systems to be able to understand context as of late.
Thank you, Abhinav. And your mention about the digital personas brings me to 2023 when Interpol was launching its metaverse platform at Davos, and I was moderating a panel, and one of the important points came: how do we treat digital personas in terms of are they an extension of, for example, in your case, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, is it an extension of that? Is it a separate legal entity? Who do we, in case of going back to my role of enforcer, who do we take into, whom do we charge in case of any problem or any wrongdoing by this persona? Is it Mr. Amitabh Bachchan? Is it you? Or who would be responsible?
I think, great question. We intentionally kept every single piece of content three-way approved, so that everyone in the loop is involved in approving what the experience went. That includes Mr. Bachchan's team, that includes the Icons team, and that includes the bank as well. So there are three parties, or any three parties that are getting this done. So all three parties were involved in the entire approval process. So we believe that having this very transparent, traceable way of approvals make sure that the experience was approved by all parties involved, and no unilateral party has taken a decision to actually put this experience or put this technology out. So we've created that provenance, at least on a very limited scale. To scale that out, we will definitely have to think about another platform which can be cryptographically enforced, like a immutable transaction between the parties, where every single party which is a party to that experience has approved this. And without that, I think that's the way to go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry for interruption, sir. We'll have some couple of seconds to group photo. We are waiting for another panelist, but they are unable to come now. So we are about to reach our session, and so just 30 seconds we can stand up and have some group photo with the panelist. Okay. Then we can continue, sir. Thank you so much, sir. We can continue.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to think about the next question. Mr. Srinivasan, trust is built through auditability. And Abhinav was mentioning about traceability also. So picking up from there, trust is built through auditability and clear controls. But from a generic engineering point of view, how do we build transparency into the AI lifecycle so that it is verified rather than it just claimed?
Great question, and I love the examples Abhinav used, especially around how it's a self-expression of the artist, right? And that's so core to preserve that. And interestingly, in today's world, like whether you look at finance, you look at healthcare, you look at any industry for that matter, it involves sensitive data, right? When you look at some of the examples that come to mind for a bunch of our hospitals are trying to kind of come together, bringing their kind of oncological, like this is data for cancer research together and like improve their disease models. But how do these hospitals come together in a way that they don't divulge patient privacy issues, right? And the interesting thing is, obviously every hospital wants to show up to be part of this consortium. The model needs to get better, but how do they collaborate without exposing patient information? And to me, this is really why I think the confidential computing example that, in fact, Mr. Ajit also talked about is super important. And in fact, we're building something called confidential clean rooms. This is a very interesting tech where multiple parties can essentially come into the clean room, and you have a guarantee, you have cryptographically sound approaches that say that the data, there was no privacy, there's no exfiltration of data outside the clean room, right? And how do you kind of create attestation reports? How do you create, in essence, a techno-legal construct, something that can stand up in a court of law? So this is really where I think technology meets regulators. Another very interesting example, like this is in the financial sector where we see lenders and banks kind of come together because they want to kind of assess the credit risk scores of consumers. How do you do this? Again, I think I want to go back to the DEPA, which is like a very important, I'd say DPI, that it's becoming a DPI now for AI. DEPA 1.0 kind of proved to us that you could use user consent, kind of layer that into like these national scale platforms, and really, Mr. Alkesh, I think the work in the DPI space is just so foundational for the country. But as we look at DEPA 2.0, they're kind of piloting how do you kind of do this for training and inferencing? How do you do training on confidential infrastructure, right? How do you do inferencing? So if you want to kind of inference from either a foundational model, how do you ensure, again, that privacy is preserved? So to me, I think, in fact, we're working pretty closely with iSpert on the DEPA work. We think it's really important to have these operate like as digital rails for the rest of for the entire economy. And to me, unless policymakers kind of come together with regulatory bodies and we form these consortiums, I think it's going to be important to make sure that the consortium members also collaborate with confidentiality preserved, right? You want immutable ledgers, you want all those technical building blocks that make the use case Mr. Abhinav talked about kind of come alive. And so to me, I think it's the intersection of policy, the technological kind of techno-legal constructs, and of course the ecosystem where this magic unfolds. So I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, Mr. Srinivasan. Just a follow-up question. You mentioned about consortiums and also bringing together people. Would you also like to comment on collective responsibility, not only in those amongst those who are joining the consortium, but at a wider scale, collective responsibility between users, developers?
Absolutely. I think, like we said, every technology needs to be shaped by the humans around. Like I really loved Mr. Alkesh, when he talking about the need to have resilience, to have privacy kind of baked in as opposed to having these runaway AI models, right? So to me, I think there is huge responsibility in the model developer, in the model user, right? You need to have user data that's handled sensitively. Ultimately, if there are risks where the models get better because they've actually consumed data, the things that bother me are really around representation. What about the use case? You talked about multicultural. What about if a disease model doesn't represent the pan-India context? Like now, do you have some subset of patients that are underserved because the disease model was not representative enough? So to think about inclusion, think about fairness, privacy, security, accountability, and Microsoft has a bunch of what we call the responsible AI principles, but these aren't just theoretical principles, they need to become engineering constructs. So we're working hard at that and continue to kind of stay tuned as we look at
Thank you, Mr. Srinivasan. We have been talking about privacy, we have been talking about exfiltration, we have been talking about security. So let me go to Mendian, Dr. Monisha. We often talk about AI ethics in terms of bias or transparency. From your perspective at Mandiant, what is the unseen security threat that most people are missing when they discuss safe AI in 2026?
Very good question. Thank you, Dr. Oberoi. See, while bias and transparency are absolutely critical, right? And we are seeing that while that be the case, there's a shift in the adversary because today the adversaries are also using AI. And most of our adversaries are highly motivated, if not more than the defenders, right? Be it the nation state actors, be it for politics, be it for money, for whatever, right? So they're extremely, extremely motivated. Now, the unseen threat that we see is the democratization of sophisticated attacks. Now, there was a time when you had to have some kind of knowledge to be able to create campaigns or sophisticated attacks. But today, using AI, our adversaries, without the knowledge of technology, without the knowledge of security, are able to leverage AI and create some very sophisticated attacks at a speed at which the defenders may find it very difficult to take care of. So that is an area which has become extremely, extremely critical. You know, we've moved there was a time when we were talking about, prompt injections, etc., but we moved way past that today. Today, adversaries are looking at agentic shadow AI, which means we're actually looking at unmanaged, uncontrolled agents which are being deployed. And a lot of organizations internally are deploying thinking that they're doing it to help themselves, not realizing that they're opening up backdoors, massive backdoors for large breaches that could take place. Now, at Mandiant, what are we seeing, right? So what we have observed that a lot of our threat actors and a lot of attackers are actually using AI to automate the discovery of zero-day vulnerabilities. And at such an amazing speed that folks who are looking at the SOCs of the world, the NOCs of the world, they're unable to actually match that speed. So that's becoming very, very challenging. Now, when we talk about safe and trusted, a system can be ethical, but if it is not safe, we're actually leaving a lot open for a number of adversaries to come in, especially the nation-state actors. So I think this goes hand in hand, and it is extremely important that we look at this unseen or the democratization of the attackers and the sophisticated attacks here.
Thank you, Dr. Monisha. Let me go to Sir. Going back to India's unique sovereign capabilities. Sir, the India AI mission is anchored in 7 sutras. Could you please elaborate the governance pillars that make India the use case capital of the world and how we ensure that these systems are secured by design for 1.4 billion people?
Yeah, thank you. I think even if you look at our initial digital systems or digital public infrastructure and even the DPDP Act, if you look at Digital Personal Data Protection Act, we always had that information privacy, data privacy is the core principle. And there again we suggested that even in AI system, as somebody talked about standards and prescriptions, we did not want to be prescriptive. We always said we'll be principle-based solutions, principle-based regulation. We did not want to go the GDPR way. So the whole objective was that it should be principle-based, not prescription-based. It should not throttle technology. We should continue with innovation. We should not stifle innovation, as it has been done in some of the geographies. So the whole objective is these guiding principles, 7 sutras which you talked about, of governance, they are basically begin with the foundation of trust. That we must have trust first. It should be, people should be the front. It should help. They should be public good. So it should be public facing. Public should be able to understand it. Public should benefit from it. We also had focused that it should be innovation. It should promote innovation. It should not restrain innovation. We also looked at the fair and inclusive system. It should reach the last mile, as Mr. Charu was just now talking about. It should no one should be left behind, which we have done in our UPI, we have done in other DPIs. And it should be design built. the security feature which we are talking about, whether it is trust or safety or resilience, it should be built in the design of any AI system which we are creating. I think that's one of the principles, and of course safety, resilience and sustainability. So these are 7 governance principles on which we had 7 AI mission pillars. So these will be the guiding principles, and then we move on to the next level where we want to create compute capacity. We are creating innovation so that we promote startup culture. We have set up India Data Set, the AI Kosh, because India has huge quantum of data. With 1.42 billion people, 50% of the world's transactions we are doing in India, 80% of India's transactions are on UPI, on digital transactions. I mean, so the kind of data we have, whether it is in agriculture, health, education, so we have to create, we have to ensure that data is quality data. So the India Data Set is actually working on that. We are looking at to ensure that there is public-private partnership, which should take it to the next level. Skill upgradation is very important because this is one of the issues. Time and again, people say there will be job losses. We are saying that it needs continuous, reskilling and upskilling. That's something we need to continue with. So, all these 7 pillars of AI mission are also talking about those only. And again, safety, trust, and resilience is important part. We have set up an institute. There is an institutional mechanism we have, AI Safety Institute, which will actually look at, right from concept to commissioning, how AI systems should ensure these 4 principles on which we are building up. We have set up an AI governance mechanism committee, which will ensure that both center and the state, they coordinate well and ensure that data is, the systems are again interoperable at the same time. They should have resilience and safety and security features built into the whole system. So this is an inbuilt system. You talked about multilingual, somebody was talking about. AI Bhashini. We started, when I started it, we did not even have 10, 11 languages. Today, we covered all constitutional languages, and I am happy to tell you the 36 dialects and languages now AI Bhashini is actually doing, and most of the banks and most of the institutions are now using. In fact, in DPDP Act and DPDP, when you see consent of a person, it has to be in a language which he understands. So explainability, understandability is core principle, whether it is AI systems or DPDP or DPI. These are the core principles on which we will work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think 2 of the most important things which are being discussed today, one is the institute, which you mentioned, rightly mentioned, and second is the innovation over restraint. I think this is one of the, these are the 2 important issues which are being discussed in most of the panels I've attended. And that takes me to Mr. Gurnani, and I've already apologized in your absence that because of my previous avatar as in Delhi Police, you were delayed. So, and we talked about the policy and mission, and as I was telling sir that we should now look at the engine of innovation. Mr. Gurnani, you have often said that technology must serve people and the planet. How do we ensure that the governance frameworks which have been discussed today and in this panel and also elsewhere act as a trust accelerator for industry rather than a bureaucratic brake on the speed of innovation?
Again, Dr. Oberoi, thank you for understanding that when you have so many heads of the state in that 5 to 7 square kilometer area, movement does become a little challenged. But nevertheless, I think we're trying to deal with 3 topics at the same time. Number 1 is AI, number 2 is trust, and number 3, in my opinion, is innovation. So instead of trying to give one common answer, for me it is important is who is our end customer? What are we trying to solve? Because if we know the outcome, then we will work accordingly. So for example, if my outcome expected is that I am going to do citizen services, but I am going to do it in a secure way, and I am going to build a trust that my data is safe, my money is safe, and so on and so forth. Right? Now, fundamentally it means is that first is building the trust. When you go to an Amazon or a Flipkart, or when you go to any of the sites that you trust, you don't mind having your credit card information or your home address or personal information. At the same world, there are people who are constantly phishing. So my fundamental part is, that is number one. Number two is, everybody has tried to innovate so that we are able to remove the elements which try and hurt you. Now, it could be by making sure that every IoT sensor has some security platform. I think it will take a lot longer than what we have currently built, and we need to now innovate. We all know the end goal. The end goal is, it's not only my phone needs to be secure. Every connected device is a potential where somebody can hack into my systems. Now, for that to happen, I think we need to make sure that while we put guardrails, we put security around some of the key elements, but we know that this is a psychological warfare, this is cyber terrorism or cyber security challenges, and the third thing is, we need to prepare that if things go down, can I recover fast enough? So I think I can only tell you that the company that I founded, called Ionos, the first product that I'm launching is UniProtect. UniProtect means, if you work with me, I will be able to protect your identity, I'll be able to protect your data, and I will be able to protect you against the terrorist attacks. And if the terrorist attacks do happen, I'll be able to recover it fast for you. So I think it's a complex subject, and coming in last and taking most of the time is not fair, Dr. Oberoi.
Thank you, sir. Your words of wisdom are always welcome. Now, since the time is up, I am reducing my 30-second question to one word, and I'll request all the panelists to name one word which must exist for a citizen to trust an AI system. Dr. Ajit, what is that in one word?
In my opinion, it's transparency.
Thank you.
Accessibility and trust. I think there's two, but accessibility.
Thank you.
I'd say confidence.
I think it's ethical and public.
I'd say it's privacy preserving.
Governance.
Thank you. And I think that was a very apt summarization of the panel discussion. Thank you, everyone, for such a lively discussion. And with that, we come to the end of this panel. Thank you.
I would request our speakers to kindly remain on the dais for a small felicitation ceremony, please, sir. I would now request CA Neeru Abrol, former CMD, National Fertilizer Limited, and Member Executive Council, GCTC, to kindly come on the stage, ma'am. Ma'am, I request you to kindly felicitate Ms. Charu Srinivasan with a shawl. I request Dr. Monisha Oberoi, ma'am. Ma'am. Mr. C.P. Gurnani. Sir. Dr. Madan Oberoi. I now request Dr. Sandeep Marwa, founder Noida Film City, President AAFT and Member Executive Council GCTC to please come on the stage and felicitate our speakers. Mr. Ajit Kumar.
Hi sir, how are you? Great, hi sir. Hi sir, how are you? Lovely sir.
Mr. Alkesh Kumar Sharma, sir. Sir. Yeah. Mr. Abhinav Verma Kalinidhi. Sir. I would request our panels to please remain on the stage because the felicitation ceremony has not ended yet. Please, we have a very small, another token of appreciation for all our panel members. Thank you, Sandeep sir. Thank you so much. I request Mr. Aditya Tikku, convener, founder GCTC, to please kindly come on the dais and honor our speaker with a planter. Charu ma'am. Dr. Monisha Oberoi. C.P. Gurnani sir. C.P. Gurnani sir. Dr. Madan Oberoi.
Madan sir, you did it.
I now request Rajesh Kumar ji, Director, Shadow Infosys, to kindly do the honors. Mr. Ajit Kumar. Ajit sir. Alkesh Kumar Sharma sir.
Okay, sir, please, please.
And Mr. Abhinav Verma Kalinidhi sir. Thank you, our esteemed speakers and our audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to join this session. We have only limited time to start session for
Please be quick, we have limited
5:30.
time. Then thank you to all eminent speakers. So I request to all the attendees and speakers to quickly clear the space so that other participants can join.